On the Cutting Mat with toy-polloi.
Hello and welcome to On the Cutting Mat with toy-polloi, and this is a special bonus edition of On the Cutting Mat, which is my new exclusive series films especially for my Patreons and YouTube channel members. So for everyone watching now, if you want to see these exclusive videos, then you need to become either a Patreon of toy-polloi or a YouTube channel member of toy-polloi. To become a Patreon, follow the links in the description. You can do that for as little as £1 a month, or if you want to become a YouTube channel member, click the join button that you will see below all of my videos, and again you can become a member for as little as £1 a month, and you get early access to all of my repair videos, and you'll get access to exclusive posts and also access to the On the Cutting Mat series, which you are watching now. So what are we doing today on the cutting mat? Well, I've been sort of looking through my box of broken Transformers, and I found this poorly little battered Warpath. This was very kindly given to me by Nick a fair while ago, and I've been sort of wondering what to do with it. Someone at some point has chewed the end of the barrel off. There's a little bit of damage there to his arm, and he's a little bit sort of loose and floppy. So today I thought we'd do a sort of fairly quick, simple fix on him and try and repair the barrel that is missing on here. What we're going to have to do is actually sort of chop off the bits that's been chewed, and I reckon just a piece of Lego will be a good solution for it. I've actually been looking through my sort of Lego pot, and I found this piece which already looks quite like a barrel of a gun. In fact, this would work very well if you were missing the whole of the barrel of this Warpath. You could easily chop that off and sort of put this Lego piece in. But on this Warpath you can see it's just the end bit that's damaged. It should look like that, but currently it looks like that. So we're going to chop that off, and I'm going to use my old favourite of a Lego antenna, and we're going to make a new barrel for this Warpath. Right, so this is an unbroken Warpath, and you see that's what the barrel looks like. This one is a little bit chewed, so what we're going to do is cut off that chewed part, and then I'm going to fashion a new barrel out of this Lego antenna. The original barrel appears to have a slightly sort of flat end to it. I think we might modify that slightly. I'm going to try and drill a hole neatly in the end of this so it actually looks like there is a proper barrel there. But the first thing we need to do is start to take this apart. I don't think I need to take the whole of this toy apart. We can probably just do it in stages. As you can see, his legs are a bit floppy, so we need to add some sort of PTFE tape or something on that joint there. And then we need to remove the head just so that we can work on that separately. And to remove Warpath's head, it appears there is just one screw on the inside there. So I'll get a Phillips screwdriver and see if we can just remove the head. Just makes it easier to work on if everything is separate. So let's just take that off. Oh yeah, there we go. So we've got a little bit of plastic that sits underneath. I didn't check which way round that should go. All right, the angled corners go to the front, so I'll put that in my pot there, and we can tip the screw out. And now we've got the head part of Warpath. So let's get chopping. I think I'll just chop the end of that off with a pair of plastic nippers. Then I'm going to start shaping a piece of the antenna. And yeah, I think the way to attach that is normal way. I'll drill a hole into that, I'll drill a hole into the bit of antenna, and with pin and glue it. I reckon we can make something that looks fairly reasonable. So the first thing to do is actually trim up the remains of this barrel. I'm just going to use a pair of plastic nippers to carefully cut that off. And then I've got some very fine sandpaper here. This is 1000 grit sandpaper. I'll just give that a little rub. Normally with plastic nippers you can get a very neat cut, so you probably don't need to do too much to it. I think that's pretty good. And now I can start drilling holes. I'm going to be using a bit of paper clip to attach this. So this is just the remains of a tiny bit of paper clip. So I need to drill a very small hole into here. I probably could use a bit of a Lego whip antenna, but Lego whip antennas are about 2mm in diameter, so it would have to be a fairly big hole, and this piece of plastic doesn't look much more than about 3mm, so I think just a bit of a paper clip will work. I've also chopped off a tiny bit of a Lego aerial there. You can see if I line that up, that's going to work reasonably well actually. It's a slightly thinner diameter, which is what you want, so it sort of tapers down. So yeah, let's drill some holes and we'll see if we can attach that. Then we'll tidy up the end of this and get it to the right sort of length. That's interesting. This actually feels hollow. I've only drilled in a very small distance and then it all goes hollow all of a sudden, so it's not a very thick piece of plastic, this one. I've managed to get a hole fairly central. Let's see if this paperclip piece will fit in there. Yeah, which it does. Perfect. So we'll do the same and drill a hole into the piece of Lego, but that is going to fit really well. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. It's a bit oversized at the moment, but that's going to work very well. So how long does this gun barrel need to be before I glue it in place? We'll do a little bit more trimming. I'm just going to hold this onto here and do it by eye. I think I probably should measure it really just to make it very accurate. Let me grab my ruler so we can see here from the end it's about 7mm. So on here, yeah, about 7mm. That's not too bad. So I'll just take that off and we can again trim this up just using the plastic nippers. I'll trim it slightly long so that I've got some space to just sort of sand it down a bit, but I reckon about there's perfect. Like that. Yeah, that looks good. But I'll just give that a little sand and a little tidy up. Right, so let's glue this in place. I've just got some super glue here. I'm going to put a little bit onto a piece of paper, and then I'm going to very carefully dab some onto the end of this paper clip. At the moment I've just pushed the paper clip into the new bit of Lego that I've made just to hold it. I can grab a little bit of super glue on the end of that, and then we'll push that into the main barrel like so. Then that should stick in place. And now I can use this to get some glue on the other end and then push it into the piece of Lego. Make sure everything is lined up how I want it. Like that. Just make sure it is nice and straight, which I think that is. And there you go. We'll let that glue set. Then I'm going to drill a very tiny hole in this end just to make it look more like a barrel. And then, yeah, we'll need to give it a bit of a coat of paint because at the moment it's fairly obviously black. Now we come on to the painting, and I don't have a red that is this sort of burgundy colour, so I've had to mix something, and I've got this red which is called Bloody Red, which is a game colour 72.010, and I've mixed in a tiny amount of this Vallejo model colour which is called Violet, which is 70.960, and that's actually given me a pretty good sort of burgundy mix. Both of the Warpaths I have are slightly different colours. The one I'm fixing, I'm going to say, has got yellowed a little bit, so it's a little bit more of a sort of browny burgundy, which is why I did actually get some brown out just in case, but it turns out that just the red and the violet actually work. This other one I have is in much nicer condition. It doesn't look like it's got any sort of sun damage to it, so it's a bit more of a muted colour, but I think this red and violet mixture actually is going to work pretty well. So let's just put a little bit on here, and you can see that's a fairly close match. It's going to need a couple of coats just because we've got black underneath it, but that's, yeah, I'm really quite happy with that. So let me do a couple of coats of this. We'll let it dry. I'm going to give it then a top coat, which I think will have to be a gloss top coat because you can see how shiny this plastic is, just to try and make this paint match the original sort of finish. The paint I'm using will have a matte finish, so we have to put this gloss coat on just to make it look the same. But I think that's going to work, yeah, should work really well. While I'm waiting for the paint to dry, we can have a go at fixing this loose section here. So this is basically the body that rotates up. These become the feet, and you can slide this whole section along. So I reckon the pivot is on this piece and the bit that should grip is on this bottom section. I'm hoping we can just put some PTFE tape or something on there just to make it grip a bit better. To get in, we're just going to have to undo these two screws at the bottom, and I think the bottom of this should then just come apart. I haven't taken one of these figures apart before, so this is all new to me, and that's why it's always interesting. Cut the screws there. Oh yeah, there we go, that's taken that piece off. Yeah, so this piece slides along this section. So PTFE tape's not really going to be an option, as there's just not enough space in there to fit it. I wonder what else we can do. I might have to have a little think about that. because this piece, it rotates along and then comes up like that. It's supposed to sort of lock in place, so maybe yeah, that's not as straightforward as you would think. I'm going to have a little think about that. It might be we need to add some sort of thickness to the side of this or in here somehow. Yeah, that's not as straightforward as you would imagine. Maybe even a bit of super glue. I don't like adding super glue to toys to sort of do friction stuff like this, but it might be that's the only option on this one, just because there's not a lot else that we can do. Let me have a little ponder. Okay, well, I've managed to do something. I've done it off camera just because I was sort of messing around trying to work out what to do. And essentially what I've done is added little bits of sellotape on either side of this part. So this is the arms section of Warpath. And I put 3 layers of sellotape on either side. So I basically layered up some sellotape and then cut very small bits of it off. I've then stuck those just in there. And that seems to be just enough to give it that little extra bit of friction. So if we put this piece in here now, put this back together, all sort of clips back together. Now when you lift up the body, it's sort of got some friction to it, so it wants to stay upright. I think by the time I put the screws in, that will be enough to hold this in place. Not an ideal fix. It's a really awkwardly designed sort of toy. There's just no space in there to put any PTFE tape. If you did, it would be visible. I could have put just a couple of drops of super glue on there as well, but I just don't really like doing that. I'd rather a non-permanent repair in case I want to come back to this in future and take it apart again. So a bit of sellotape just seems to be enough to give that some friction. So let's put this back together. I've then got to put the gloss coat on the end of the barrel, and we'll put this figure all back together, and he should look good for display. If you want to see how this figure turned out, then follow the links in the description and head on over to Patreon and sign up there, or click the join button below this video to become a YouTube channel member, and you'll get access to the full video along with all the other episodes of On the Cutting Mat, plus early access to my videos, bonus posts, and you'll even get your name in the videos as well. I want to say a big thank you to those already supporting me as a Patreon or as a YouTube channel member. It really does make a big difference to what I can do here on toy-polloi, and to everybody else I just want to say thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching toy-polloi. Subscribe for more great videos. You can also follow toy-polloi on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.